Hi everyone, this is Nadia and Jake. This is our Sidoni girl, that's our buddy boy, and today we are here to talk about M3GAN.
Yes.
The recent horror.
Yeah, horror comedy. This has been making a lot of waves, it seems like. A lot of people are seeing it, which is good. It's produced by Blumhouse, I think. And yeah, we kind of went in with no expectations. What did you think? We haven't talked about it. What did you think of M3GAN?
I want to let you go first this time. So, go ahead. What did you think?
I really liked it. I thought it was actually pretty fun. I didn't find it very scary. There were a couple scenes that were a little scary, but mostly it just kind of played as a comedy to me. Yeah, but it didn't do anything exceptional. It was just playing on the fun theme of, evil toy. But it felt sort of self-aware and had a nice kind of lighthearted sense about itself, even though it starts with a very dark scene. But the story was actually pretty good, and I was in it with the characters, and I had a good time. It wasn't anything crazy exceptional or super different, but it was like really fun.
What would you rate it?
I'd give it like a 7.
Okay. So I have controversial opinion.
All right, here we go.
I did not like it.
Okay. I thought you were enjoying it though.
I thought there were parts that were funny. I particularly thought the ending was funny when it gets like really horror-y, like many horror comedies kind of do. I will get into what I found more funny, but I'm in line with like what you're saying, more of a comedy than horror in those films, because I wasn't like, I was expecting for some kind of jump scare because I'm a scary cat, but I was like, oh, this is actually funny, because I remember one scene I was like, oh no, something's gonna happen, and I'll like look away and you're like, honey, look, and then there's the funny part that comes around, and it's like, it was executed.
Yeah, it wasn't trying to ramp up tension. It was more like,
if I were to rate like the ending, I would rate it probably like 7.5 out of 10. I thought
the ending?
Like maybe the last 30 minutes of the film, I thought it was like maybe 7.5 out of 10. The rest of it, I feel like it was more like a 5 out of 10.
Okay, what didn't you like about it?
I thought the protagonist, the aunt, was really unlikable.
But that doesn't make it a bad movie necessarily.
Well, I just didn't feel like she had any. Maybe for a horror, there's a lot of times less grounded character development. Had no connection with like characters at all, and I felt like she had no relatability factor. I also felt like I just wanted her to be killed from the very beginning, kind of thing, almost, like I thought she would be a great person to watch suffer.
I mean, the whole point I think of her character was that she was a bad person. She had things she needed to grow on and learn how to be like a parent to Katie, and that was the whole arc. You could see it coming. That was her arc to grow as a person, and I thought, that's fine. Like I get, like, she was very unlikable, especially some stuff she does. It was like, oh my gosh, and reckless, all that sort of stuff. But I feel like at the end, it's supposed to be like she redeems herself.
Mm-hmm. I didn't really trust that she redeemed herself that well, to be honest with you, just because it happened so suddenly at the end.
When we get into spoilers, I'm going to ask you if a certain element or couple of scenes were removed, if you would think differently about her character.
I know what the scenes you're talking about,
I think I know exactly what scenes specifically targeted it. I knew, like, once we were watching it, that when this scene showed up, I was like, oh yeah, she's probably going to rate this lower.
Well, don't you know me?
I do know you pretty well.
Well, I would say that I somewhat recommend you watch it. It just depends if you like more horror comedy.
You know what? I'll say it wasn't boring. And
that is atypical, though.
Like, I thought Smile was scarier, but I thought it was boring. I thought it was more predictable. It didn't have a sense of humor about itself. It wasn't very self-aware, and I liked that this was self-aware. It had like some really silly, over-the-top moments, and I was just laughing the whole way through. It was a lot of fun, I thought.
I thought it was okay. If I watched it in our living room instead of theater, I may like look away just because I did actually find it a little boring for some aspects of it. I didn't really know where it was leading, but I was pleased by the ending. It's kind of like, if you like the Chucky series, you're probably gonna like this. So I would watch it again just to kind of follow up with the story. I was a fan of the Chucky series until it got really bad when they kept making additional movies. This one, I would rate it lower than the Chucky series in general, just because I felt like there was more funny elements in the Chucky series.
So you're giving it a 5 out of 10.
Maybe 5.5.
All right. I feel like we should get into spoilers.
Okay.
All right. So everyone, spoilers for M3GAN. You've been warned.
1, 2, 3. So yes, I know what scene that you're talking about. If it was removed, it's the dog scenes, right? Is that what you're talking about?
She hates dogs.
It's not that like necessarily that she hates dogs. It was just like okay, here's a little rant. All right.
Let's hear it.
So her sister dies. She is so unfocused with her sister dying, yet we're led to believe that the sister trusted her out of everyone to take care of her only child. And she like barely like mourns her sister. She like goes through some stuff that she inherits through being getting custody of her niece, but there's no like emotional connection that she has with the past at all. It's almost like she's a robot herself, and she almost seems like she lacks empathy with that. So that's where it started out for me, right? And then there's more evidence of that with the dog scenes of such things, like not necessarily her setting boundaries with it, but more so her not having empathy. She has a niece who is living with her. There are some funny aspects, like when she has her collectible toys that, you know, she doesn't want anyone to touch in a specific way. I thought that was really funny and well executed. But she really doesn't understand what's the word that I'm looking for? She really doesn't understand the emotional complexity of a trauma or love, it seems like, because she is completely fine dedicating, like she talks to her niece like a friend more so, but she doesn't like have any capability to understand her emotionally. And that's why I'm thinking like maybe she should die. Maybe it's going to be something because she almost seems like she is a psycho in the making due to all those things that I mentioned. And then when she has the AI doll, M3GAN, you know, she's completely fine letting M3GAN take all the emotional toll of her niece, knowing that her niece, and then also using her niece as a tool to up her career.
But to me, this is the point. The movie's trying to say like, yeah, this is bad.
Yes. And that's why I was going to say that I would have been happy if she died and, you know, there was another antagonist or something else like that. I don't know. But then when she actually finally learns that or we're led to believe that she has redeemed herself, is just really like short-lived compared to how much she's gone through. And she says maybe it's the actress, maybe it's the script, I'm not really sure, but I felt like she was void, like she was muttering words that were void of really any emotions when she was saying that M3GAN, her niece is the only thing that matters to her, because there were so many things that she could have done like beforehand, and it's almost like we're rushed to believe the redemption arc, and I think that's why it was not believable for me. When you really think about the redemption aspect of it, it's really not until...
I mean, I don't think she's totally redeemed, but I think that it was a step in the right direction. She did the right thing.
Well, I just don't believe the step. I think there's that step is not I mean, I guess we'll wait for the sequel, but I just don't think that step is really something that was believable to me. She could take 10 steps back.
You know what I really hope they call the sequel? M3GAN's.
Well, I think that actually there might be something similar to that, and I'm not sure M3GAN's, but I will say, you know, at the end, it's very heavily implied that M3GAN attached herself to more of I forget what it's called.
Not to mention the guy who stole the files.
Alexa-like, Alexa-like device. And so M3GAN is almost implied that she's everywhere. In a way, it kind of reminds me of X-Men. Dark Phoenix. If you've seen it, you probably may be able to tell what I'm talking about. But yeah, and then to talk about what you said earlier about a couple of scenes, I definitely didn't like that she didn't give a crap about the dog being hurt. And I mean, obviously, then wanted the dog euthanized when it wasn't even doing anything wrong.
Well, from the start, it that first scene she had with the neighbor, I thought they were setting her up to look negative in that interaction, because the neighbor, while maybe annoying, was just I don't know, the dog was just on her area. That was her main thing, but I thought she was overreacting. She was being very mean, you know, and also she was like, get those chemicals off of my property. Yeah. And it was just the lady was watering her plants, you know?
Yeah.
But I get they were setting that up for a kill later in the movie, which was a good kill. Yeah, you're kind of okay, I'm kind of on the neighbor's side here. She's kind of overreacting. And then when the dog bites
M3GAN.
Katie and Megan, but Katie first. Her character, Gemma, is like, you need to put this dog down. And she's like talking to cops to get the dog put down. I'm like, oh man, like that was definitely like the most unlikable she was. And I was like, yeah, I don't know, like if you're still trying to frame her like a hero, if that's gonna, because that was pretty, again, she was trying to be, she was supposed to be that she wasn't likable at first and that she kind of redeems herself at the end a little bit. But again, I mean, I see your point where maybe they didn't do enough to redeem her. But when I was watching it and I was getting the sense of like, okay, she's kind of like a unlikable protagonist here, doesn't know how to take care of Katie. She doesn't, she's not being a good parent, basically, guardian. But then I thought like, well, I don't know if there's any like biases there we have it as an audience where in a movie where, let's say, a man who's career oriented, and there's movies like these, and then has to take care of a kid and learn how to be a parent, there's lots of those types of scenes, where they don't know how to be affectionate. But I feel like we have an internal bias that women are inherently maternal.
Yeah.
And I liked that the movie had her as career oriented and gave her that edge that was like, felt very realistic and wasn't trying to be like all women are maternal and all women are like this. And I kind of like that.
I completely agree with your point, and that's a great point. Maybe there is some biases within me that I should be more aware of. But I don't think that that's like the majority of the dislike with me. I honestly just feel like when you look at the runtime of her redemption arc, it is grossly underwhelming in comparison to her being an unlikable character for everything else, right? It's not just like maternal instinct. I'm not even talking about that. It's more so like, I made me question, God, how bad were his parents for her sister to want her sister who doesn't even like care. It felt like her sister really didn't care as much about usually when you're close to a family member, you are mourning that person as well, right? She not once was mourning her sister.
It didn't seem like they were very close.
Yeah, and so that was unbelievable in the first place. And it wasn't about maternal instincts for me as much as it was her lack of empathy.
I get that. I mean, there was a point because they set up early in the movie as the threat of if she can't take care of Katie, then she'll have to go live with her the aunt and uncle in Florida, or the grandparents in Florida.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, Florida, and and that was funny, but that's kind of posed as a threat. But then I get your point where later on in the movie where she's literally just using Megan, this experimental technology, to raise the kid. It either could end with Gemma being redeemed, or it could end with her getting killed by Megan. And then I kept thinking well, at least she has those grandparents in Florida. She needs to go to those, this is a bad situation for her, So it's funny how that started out as a threat, but then I started going oh, maybe that's going to be a better option.
Well, and that's the thing. It's kind of ooh, this isn't really doing very well. You started to feel really bad for the girl, the niece, because you could see why she was so attached to Megan. Megan was there with her 24/7, really her best friend, right? That she was given attachment, she was attached to, but she wasn't. I think that had they shown her having more of at any point in the film, having some kind of connection with her deceased sister, then I think I would have gained more empathy there. It just kind of felt to me that she didn't really care that her sister was gone, and she was more looking at it hey, this is the job that I didn't really want, but I guess I'll take it, right? And when you're oh, well, I gotta make money, we live by money, gotta pay my rent, gotta pay the mortgage, and then you just take the job that's offered to you even though it's not your dream job. That's what it felt like when she was taking her niece in. Then when she had her redemption arc, she said the right things and stuff like that, but like I said, it wasn't as believable to me just because there wasn't enough evidence for me to see anything different. I'm not sure if they're supposed to be. I mean, like I said earlier, for a horror comedy, a lot of times it's not about connection as much as it is about the funny aspects of things, right? So it's not really that out of format. I would say if there's anything that I'm mostly biased about with my reviews is probably just the dog aspect.
Sure, yeah. I mean, look, to me, it was successful in what it was trying to do. Yeah, the arc could have been stronger. Maybe, the redemption arc could have been stronger. But I thought that it was far better than I expected in the story department. You know, it got me caring about the stakes right away with that opening scene. You know, we get to see the parents die. We get to see her, you know, like it really builds up, you know, to having M3GAN there and as a threat. And I thought that a lot stronger than I expected. And it also had great kills, you know, and really fun moments. So I wouldn't say great kills, but they were pretty good kills. At least that kid who got his ear ripped off, that was a really good kill.
I will say, let's just talk really about the good parts of the film because there are a good amount. So I love when she brings that little mini sword thing and then she like dances before she kills the CEO.
They put those in the trailer. That was like a meme like the second it came out. I think that they did really good marketing on this movie. I think that's why it's doing really well so far.
Yeah, and I really like the way that she crawled like an animal in the forest when she was
chasing
after that kid who's super problematic and who was trying to essay her. I also thought it was funny when the cops later on like were asking if he was pushed to the kid was pushed to the truck and killed on purpose because they found a piece of his ear in the forest, and the cop couldn't help but laugh at that. And then he was like, okay. And he was like, "Oh, sorry."
That detective, I was like, I hope he's in more of the movie. He stole that scene because he felt like he was in a different film altogether, where he was like a hard-boiled detective, and he was just like, yeah, we found this kid. And he's like, oh, we're not suspecting you. It was just weird that we found his ear separated from his body. I shouldn't laugh.
I love that.
It was just like such a okay kind of scene. But I mean, those little things were great. I liked the like CEO or Gemma's boss, you know, who was just like so mean to her until like the M3GAN prototype started working. And then, when he gets killed, that was great. And
I love the part where when after the bad boy gets killed, and then the niece is asking M3GAN if like she thinks that he's in a better place. It's like, I don't think boys like that would be in a better place to you. There is something after life. I'm pretty sure he wouldn't be going to heaven.
I love the scene where M3GAN starts asking about death, and they're like, let's not talk about this.
Yeah.
I don't know. She was a great villain. I feel like if they do a sequel, I feel like it could even get better, you know, just like more fun, more goofy kind of stuff. I mean, they'll definitely do a sequel. It's been doing really well. So.
I would love. Oh yeah, I saw that they were actually planning a sequel. I would love for M3GAN to have a partner in crime. Like M3GAN, there's between multiple M3GANs, like you said, but them like M3GAN arguing with another M3GAN.
Different types of M3GANs.
Yeah, it'd be funny if they would struggle for leadership because they're all like, you know, or whatever.
Yeah.
It might become some kind of like iRobot kind of situation. I'm not sure.
I think it'd be great. The sequel. Let's do the aliens template. All right, we have Gemma. She's like become like a better person now after experiencing this, but her ideas have been stolen, and another evil corporation is creating all these M3GANs, and she has to go in to try to stop them and fight all the M3GANs.
Yes, and hopefully she's a little bit like they see that she's stuck to her redeem.
She has a dog in the sequel.
She's a dog, maybe two.
Yeah. All right. So, anything else?
No, I think this is all I have to say. Thank you for listening to me rant, and let us know who you agree with. And we are really excited to come back again with the next video. Let us know what we should watch next. Otherwise, I hope you have a great Saturday. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.